Dr. Annelle Sheline is a research fellow in the Middle East program at the Quincy Institute think tank, and she's in Washington. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thanks for having me.
So we're seeing this extraordinary feud, family feud, being played out in public. Just how damaging do you think this is?
I mean, this is really unprecedented, and this is part of why we saw other Arab monarchies around the region, as well as the United States, very quickly expressing support, which is interesting because previously, especially under President Trump, Jordan had been somewhat sidelined, especially as the UAE signed the Abraham Accords, which sort of sidelined Jordan's role as this key security partner of the U.S., and especially Trump's efforts to sort of shut down the two-state solution. King Abdullah had been somewhat frustrated, and there was also a potential effort by the Saudis to possibly take over control of the holy sites in Jerusalem. So there'd been sort of ongoing tension here, and Jordan feeling somewhat dissatisfied with the way it was being treated both by the U.S. and its neighbors. And so it's interesting now to see the extent to which support is coming in from all of its neighbors and from the United States, because the local monarchs know that if something were to happen to King Abdullah, that could potentially be similar to the situation we saw in Tunisia 10 years ago with the fall of the Tunisian government and subsequent falls of other Republican governments around the region.
So are you saying this is self-interest among those countries preferring stability in that country rather than a potentially destabilizing separation of powers there?
Absolutely. So, for all that Saudi Arabia might prefer to take control of the Haram al-Sharif in Jerusalem, they're not willing to allow King Abdullah to be overthrown. If that were to occur, that could then kind of set a precedent, destabilizing monarchies all over the region. So when push comes to shove, the monarchs are all on the same side, and that's on their own side.
I see. But do you think, from the king's point of view, worth this risk? Was this a show of force from the authorities in the country saying we will not put up with this level of criticism? But of course, they must have known there would have been this public blowback as well.
Yes, I mean, in general, I worry a little bit that this, I've seen nothing that makes it look that there was, in fact, an actual coup attempt, and, these allegations that there was support from foreign forces. A lot of this reminds me a little bit of when Erdogan in 2016 alleged a coup attempt and then used that to really crack down on academics and journalists and to really tighten the screw in Turkey, which had previously been seen as more democratic. And historically, Jordan has also had a functioning parliament, although the king remains the acting head of state and ultimately makes the decisions. I do wonder what this means for the future of Jordan, where King Abdullah has felt quite insecure over the past year. COVID cases, bad economics. Jordanians are very frustrated, which is part of what former Crown Prince Hamza was expressing, that Jordanians are really frustrated. And so I think King Abdullah is showing that he's not going to tolerate criticism from anyone, not even his half-brother.
Annelle Sheline, great to have your analysis. Thank you.